Okay. Hi everyone. Today I'll be presenting the topic design thinking for effective data presentation. Before that, a brief introduction about myself. So I'm product manager at PowerWiz. At PowerWiz, I generally create custom visuals for Power BI. So that's why my visual crazy come from. Second, I am a author of hashtag weekly chart series. So I've started a series a while back where I used to talk about different chart types, their best practices, use cases, and stuff. Third, I am a proud paw parent. I have two dogs, and yeah, they are my universe. And lastly, this is my LinkedIn handle. If anyone wants to follow me, check out my content. I constantly share resources and tips around data visualization and best like how to use visuals and design thinking. So yeah, you can check out my profile. So yeah, this is about me. So in today's topic, I'm going to cover these four sections. First, what is design thinking, why it is important, tips to improve your design process, and tips for effective data representation. So let's start by one. So first, what is design thinking? So design thinking is a problem-solving methodology that helps you understand and solve business problem. So you can apply design thinking to solve any problem, which is big or small. And it's not just about making things pretty, although that's a part of it in design thinking, but it's majorly about understanding the problem, looking for different ideas to solve it, and finally implement those solutions. So it's a human-centered approach where the end goal of design thinking is to create better product and services. uh, yes, so if we have to split design thinking into process, these are the five process that cover design thinking. So first is empathize, then define, ideate, prototype, and test. What these means is first, like in empathize, you understand and you get into the shoes of your end user and see what problem they are facing instead of denying that. Then in second case, once you have identified that problem, you try to understand what is the trigger for this issue, like why they're facing this issue. Then in ideate step, you actually try to look for different ideas to solve it, and then prototyping in and testing is implementing them and see which one works out or not. To understand this better, let's take a more realistic example that we all are familiar with, and we can together see if it helps us, how design thinking can help us solve that problem or not. Let's take a very common example, date column. Date column is available in almost all the data. Like that's a very common field, and you can use date as a like date slicer where you want to change filter, apply it, like select this month, last month, this year, any type of date. So you have created a report and you have a date slicer. Now let's say your user come to you and say that they are facing a problem that they have to keep on changing these dates. So let's say if they want to check their sales around Christmas or Diwali, Black Friday or different period, they have to every time do this manually, select the start date, select the end date. And this process is quite redundant and repetitive for them, which they want to avoid. So that's the first step where we empathize with the user and understand, okay, this is the problem they are facing. Then in second stage, we have defined the issue. The issue we are facing in this case is basically we want to remove this redundancy, and we want to remove this repetitiveness of selecting the start and end date every time. And then we come to the third stage where we now will try to see for if there's any other ideas we can think of. So if anyone has any ideas, please you can share in the comments as well that how you will tackle a similar situation. I could find these three situations in this case. So the first is a standard date slicer we use in Power BI. So this is a date slicer. To make it more informative, you can add a tooltip on this. On that tooltip, you can mention all the important date. So what user can do is they don't now have to remember the date. They can see what are the important date and manually enter the start and end. Now the pro of this feature, this first option is it's very quick and easy for developer to design. The cons is it does not solve users issue. Users still have to every time manually enter the date. The only thing, they don't have to remember the same data. The second is bookmark navigations. Bookmarks are very powerful option in Power BI. If you are from the same background, like you can basically save and filter everything. It's going to solve the user problem. They don't have to now remember date. They can just quickly switch the bookmarks and navigate through it. So that's all the pros. The cons of bookmark navigation, it's very time consuming for developer. If the developer is skilled enough, they have to like maintain it very thoroughly. Every time they add a new layer, a new design, they have to make sure that this design is cohesive with their existing bookmarks. So it takes a lot of load on the developer. And the third is a date picker by PowerBiz. So this is basically you can go for and look for custom visuals or any other visualization technique or solution that is available. Now, in third case, it solves all the problems. It is a intuitive design. You can create custom presets or you can select any time intelligent presets offered by the visual. Just have to select, hit apply. So it solves problem for end user. It solves the developer problem. The only con of this, which is not a con, but it comes with a pricing. You have to pay some additional fee. So if we see overall all the three options, first one, it works best for developer because it's time saving, but not that helpful for end user. Second, helps end user, but time consuming for developer. And third, which works for both developer and end user, uh, is bit costlier for company. So depending on these three different ideas, you can create prototype. Maybe the second one works for you. You have a pretty simple report, or in your report, there's not much layer to explore. So maybe that works for you. So you can create these prototype, you can test and see which one really solving your user problem, and then you come to a decision. So that's how design thinking works, that you find a problem and then you look for different version solution to see if something is working or meeting the requirement. So yeah, so this is the how design thinking process works. The next thing is why design thinking is important. So first thing is it scale the experience. By that I mean it it help you see or consume your data in a more helpful way. It allow your end user to stay on that page to understand and consume the information in a better manner. Uh, in a very like rough example, if I take it, let's say you have two platforms, same information, one with very high quality design, intuitive navigation and interface, and the other one which is very simple. A user would prefer to stay on the first version where the design is good, because that just that experience let you allow, okay, okay, let's stay more, let's read more, and that's what a design thinking does and help you. Second is it create endless possibilities and makes you more creative and innovative. Like in this last example, only just by detecting a problem and by just doing some initial brainstorming, we could have find three different solutions or things you can do. So if you take any example and just think more about it, you will always find more and more version. Let's say a user came to you and say, I want to see total sales for last month. So as a developer, what you will do, you will create a KPI card, put total sales, add a filter that always show it for last month. That's it. So that's the basic job you have done. But when you implement design thinking, you will start thinking other things where user will face issue in this. Is there a better way to show? Can I add more context to this? And once you start thinking those different versions, automatically your design will look better. You will find more creative and innovative solutions. Fourth point is improve communication. All the data visualization designing that we do, the end goal is always to communicate that information to your end user in the most simple, easier manner, where they don't have to take any kind of visual cognitive, any kind of load. So yeah, that's the goal. And the last point is give you control over the story. So by that, what I mean, we can refer to this example itself. In this, if you see, it's the practically the same data, but just by changing some design things, by changing the title, the highlight, they both convey two very different stories. Like if you show the first chart to a decision maker or to a company, they will see, okay, these are the top two products, why they are working, is there a scope to expand their product, or to create more better marketing opportunities for these products. But if you show a second chart to the same person, they will see, okay, why E and A products are doing bad, what's going on, what's wrong with them, should we discontinue them, is there a way we can improve the performance. So depending on your design, the conversation, there are two different conversation that is happening. So this is what happen when you take the charge of design control. You can create or create any conversation and story that you want to engage. So these are the importance. Next is tips to improve your design process. Let's say you want to implement this design thinking in your day-to-day work, but how to do that? So there are few small steps or things you can do to make sure that you are on the right path. And first of them is know your audience. So understanding for whom you're creating this report is very important. And if you struggle with how to identify that, you can always follow these four checklists, and that will give you a high level understanding. So first is technical skills, purpose, frequency, and audience growth. So first, what is a technical skill? Technical skills refer to your audience. What is this audience background? Is this person is someone who coming from technical field, analytical field, or content rich field? Like again, to give you example, let's say you're creating a report for someone who is a developer or itself a coder. So for them, you can use analytical charts. Like this person is going to be comfortable with numbers. They can read complex charts like scatter plot, heat map. But on contrary, let's say you are creating a report for, let's say, marketing team or HR. Now these people are more content friendly. They like to read heavy content or create content. So for them, instead of going with numbers and visuals, maybe rather you should also put some context around the visual, because these people would prefer reading information rather than just looking at the charts. Secondly, these people are more comfortable with simple charts like bar chart, pie chart. So depending on the technical skill, you can design your report and take that approach. Next is purpose. Purpose is very important. Like why you are creating this report. Without that, you cannot even start the report. I'll talk about it in the next point as well. They are correlated. Third point is frequency. By frequency, I mean how often you're planning to use any report you are creating. Is it monthly, quarterly, regularly? That will create a impact on your design. So if you are creating a report which is used more often, more regularly, then in that case, you should really think you can add a lot of navigations, visual cues, you can add tool tips, and because the person is going to get over the time friendly with that UI. Let's say if we are all using LinkedIn on a regular basis, we eventually know that within this setting there is this setting, like you will get friendlier with that UI. But let's say if you're only using a report once a year or twice a quarter, so then you cannot expect the end user to remember that you have a hidden tooltip, you have a button that create a pop-up or something like that. They won't remember those analytics. So in that case, always create or display as much information on front page as possible, because user won't remember all the things you have hidden here and there. Show them as much information on front page as possible. Last point is audience group. By audience group, I means, is it a small group of people for whom we are creating the report, or is it mass audience? Because with smaller group, it's very easy to take feedback. You can create, you can get instant feedback, fix this, and redeploy. But with mass audience, the design technique change entirely, because at that place it's very hard to get feedback. Anything you share, if the other person is unable to understand what happened, in that case is the user will stop using your report, because they not everyone like to share feedback in that setup. So it's very important to implement design thinking and keep reassessing your work and see, is there something I missed out, is there something we can improve, and can be a constant process. So these are the things you can always ask your audience understand before starting any report. Next point is focus on messaging. Now, this is interrelated to the purpose point, that what is the purpose and what is the focus of your report. And this is one quote I always like to share, that everything from your data is fact, but not every fact is worth sharing. So this means is, let's say you are creating a report, you have done 10 different analysis, which is very important uh, for you to create a conclusive theory, to prove your assumptions, to come to a conclusion. Do all that analysis, but that does not mean you have to share all of those information, chart research to your end user. No, in that, for your end user, you always need to create a visualization or pick a visualization that prove your theory or prove your point in the most conclusive manner, that this one visual just convey everything that you have discovered or explored. So these are two very different things that you should always be very mindful. So in this case, I'm showing an example where they both are from the same data. You have a normal standard sales data set, but the kind of focus you have, it changed the analysis entirely. Like in this case, I am doing a regional sales analysis, and in this case, the focus is trend over time analysis. So if you see, just by changing the focus, the kind of things I'm checking or analyzing in both cases is totally different. Like here, my focus is region, product sales, customer segmentation, salesperson. Whereas in trend over time, my focus is YTD, seasonal sales, predictive and forecasting analysis, performance over time, and such other details. So depending on what is your focus, collect the material, create everything, evaluate, and see what is the worth sharing, or is there any insight that you can share, and then build your report. But just don't share every permutation combination you can create. The third thing to improve your design process is convert your data into insight. So converting your data into insight is just give them some context. Like in this example, if you see, both are the same example, but the first one, it's just a chart. You see there's no context, you don't see any you can create multiple interpretation, but there is actually no interpretation. But in second case, just by using with design technique and putting the insight, you are telling a story that product C is in high demand, it contributes 40% of revenue. If a user see this versus this, maybe they won't remember the numbers, that 45, 20, 18, these numbers, but the ultimate takeaway a user will take from this second visual is that, okay, product C is in high demand. So that's what you can do by using the right design practices, by creating the right visuals that tell them the end message that you want to convey. So yeah. So this is all the tips that you can use to improve your design process. Now there are some tips you can use to improve your data visualization. So first of them is choosing the right format. So what does it means choosing the right format? In today's world, we consume content report in a lot of different format. In most companies, one of the common format we use is web or desktop layout. So you create a report like that. But nowadays, a lot of people have started using reports on mobile friendly UI as well. So depending on what kind of version you are using, the structure of your report change a lot, because on phone there is a lot of touch interaction, touch and click interaction, whereas on desktop it's more like hover, scroll through, and those sort of interactions. So you need to be very careful what kind of report you are creating, the layout it is, the amount of white space you need to put on in those versions. Let's say on a web screen, you never like to scroll horizontally, you always scroll things vertically. So these things really create an impact while let's say show all the time. And third is a pop-up mode, where you can collapse a button with a very less space. So it's a space saving technique. You can use this on mobile friendly version, and rest two are more web friendly approaches. So here are some preview as well. So this is the pop-up mode. You can select a date, and it will automatically collapse into a smaller button. Next is okay. Next is like collapse into a small button. So these are the three.
Kavita, can you hear me?
Are not something you can find. Yes.
It seems that we have
Sorry.
some audio issues at this point in time. It might be an idea just to shut down your camera to see if it gets any better.
Am I audible?
Sorry, can you please repeat?
Now am I audible?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Yes. So what I was saying is the next option we have, sorry, next thing it can help with the tips how you want to collect information. So these are the 8 to use in their professional with and they are like Laura, Nunito. Next point is tips to
Kavita, sorry
create
to interrupt
the
again.
visualization. So in color scheme is very help you search my
Kavita,
network. Give me a moment.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
We still have some audio issues, unfortunately. It might be an idea just to leave the call very briefly and reconnect to it, just to see if it solves any of the issues.
Am I audible now? Hello. Check again.
So your audio keeps coming in and out.
Yeah,
So
Now, am I audible now? I think I've
now
changed
we
my
now we
network.
can hear you just fine right now.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let me know if it happens again. Yeah,
Yeah, will do.
keep on happening. Okay. Yeah. So the next point I was talking about is color schemes. So yeah, color schemes is really crucial when you design a report. Like that's the main thing you'll see in and out in your report. And in this case, I just wanted to share 3 resources that I use all the time to generate good palettes. So first is Palette Maker, second is AI Colors, and third is Material Palette Design. All of them are free resources that you can also use. So first is palette maker. In this platform, you will get a lot of good uh, palettes and color design. And the best part about it is it gives you a lot of design references in case you struggle. What should be my background color, text size, chart, and other thing. It will give you that entire concept, like how you can place the color. So it's a very helpful resource. Second is AI colors. Right now, everything is about AI. So if you are interested in that, you can always use this platform. You just have to put the prompt and it will give you a color scheme, a design. You can edit these colors, download them. So it's a very fun, plain case you like to just play around and create your own color schemes. And third is material design palette. It is a more standard platform and it is helpful for those who are just beginning and starting their design journey. Because this platform tells you a lot about gray colors. So generally gray neutral colors are the most ignored color. But this platform tells you the importance of using the secondary color, primary color, how you can incorporate gray. And along with that, there are a lot of standard colors in case you are certain, okay, I just want to use green, but give me some good shades. So this is the platform you can go for. Uh, Next, what happened? Wow. Let me close and reopen it. Give me a moment. Something has to happen. This presentation. We were at color schemes and yes, we're on this page. Yes. So yeah, the that was the last tool, and the next thing is color scheme. Majorly, you can define your color scheme into three categories: sequential, diverging, and qualitative. So depend on your use case, you can use one of these schemes. So first is sequential. You use sequential color scheme when you want to highlight your maximum points, because in this there is a very dark shade that always catch the attention. So you can use this. Diverging scheme you use when you want to highlight both extreme ends. So you want to maybe highlight your negative data set or positive. Generally, you use this in case of negative positive data set. So you can use a diverging scheme. And third is qualitative scheme that you use for categorical data set, where every category has a unique identity and you want to associate with a different color. So these are the three different color schemes you can use while creating chart. Here is the preview of the versions as well. So in qualitative, everything has a different design. In sequential, it generally follows the sorting order maximum to minimum. And the another one is gray. So this is the one of the most like you can use if you are trying to create a more minimal and simple design. Just leverage the gray tone, make everything gray, and highlight what you want to communicate. This works best if in case you have a focus in your story. So yeah, so this is the color scheme. Next is tips to improve data visualization. So icons are now becoming very common in your report. Like nowadays, you won't see a single report that just using text and charts, but icon has now become a part of your day-to-day routine and how you're creating the reports, navigation. Like these are some common things you'll see: home button, menu button, back menu, arrows, so info icons. So those things are very become very common, and these are some platforms you can use. Again, these are some free resources that I continuously use in my day-to-day work, and you can use these icons. So first platform is Icon Scout. So if you're into animated icons or more interactive icon, you can use this platform. They also do a lot of theme based icons as well, which is free to download, so you can check this platform. Second platform is Recraft. So Recraft is again an AI platform. The cool part about it is you can give any prompt, and there are a lot of different styles you can choose. So hand drawn, illustration, grainy, like any kind of icon you want to design, you can use this platform and play around and see if it gives you the result you want. And the next two platform that I use is Remix Icon and Icon Buddy. So they are more standard platform. They are more like if you are into professional icons, you want them from same family, look similar. You can use both of these platforms. They have high quality, pixel perfect icons that you can use. Like this is the uh, yeah, this is the Icon Buddy and the other platform. Yes. The next point is to improve your data visualization technique is minimalistic design. So what does minimalistic design means is removing any kind of clutter, grid line boxes, anything which is not relevant to your story, just remove that from your design. So in this given example, if you see, this is was the first chart, and this is how we have improved and made it more minimal. So we can go one by one the things we have improved. First, category by sale, the title. So we have the same title category by sale, but to make it more informative, we have added dollar in dollar million. So now you can know the what scale or unit of measure we are using. Second is the legend. So because everything is in same color, a legend plays no role in this case. You can remove a legend. Next thing is y-axis. Now, in this case, you can remove a y-axis, and reason being, you can see you have data labels enabled. So because you can see C is 45, B is 20, D is 18, uh, y-axis plays no role, so you can remove this area. And the moment you remove y-axis, grid lines has also become redundant because grid lines you use to tally and connect it with your y-axis and read that information. So you can remove both the sections. You have your category name, and you don't need a category label because that is already in your title. So just by removing and assessing this thing, you can create a more clean version of the same design, and that you can continuously do with every chart, every information you're keeping on your report one by one, and can make it as minimal as possible. Okay. If you have read this information, like you will read this first, then you will read this, then this little guy. If you have read it, this page like the same manner, then a visual hierarchy works for you. What is a visual hierarchy is it allow and it controls your design, and you can control which information your user should read first, then second, then third. Uh, uh, and you can use that to create a more powerful story, and get more control over how you want your user to consume the entire information. So the tip I use in order to create a visual hierarchy is there is a concept in design which is called golden ratio. So if you're someone who struggle with understanding what should be my H1, what should be my H2, H3, basically different header text size, you can always follow this golden ratio, and it will help you create the most cohesive and balanced design. So how this work is, let's say my H1, my title is 48 pixel. So to calculate my H2, what I'll do, I will divide 48 by divided by 1.618. Let's say I divided and it gave me a number around 29 pixel. So my H2 is going to be 29. Let's say now I want to calculate my H3. So what I'll do, I will divide my 29 pixel by 1.618, and this will give me my H3. And same I can do for H4, H5, H6, depend on the number of hierarchies or header levels I want. So this is the rule, and it's not something I've created. It's an actual design rule. So if you also struggle with this creating a visual hierarchy, you can use the golden ratio. Yeah, so that's the end of the presentation. Now I just want to show you some of the different chart types and technique and everything that we have gone through so far in this report, how we can implement that and create actual example. So this is first, which is a funnel chart by PowerWiz. So funnel chart we use when we are trying to create a progression data, or you have a step-by-step progress. In this example, if you see, like in this case, I'm using a lot of context. I'm using minimal design. I'm using gray color to add more context. There are tooltips to add more information. I use legend whenever I have categorical and I want to create the distinction. Clean label. So you can create a version like this. Next visual we have is sunburst. So sunburst visual is helpful when you have a hierarchical data set. You in this visual you can add patterns. You have center circle. You can zoom into different level. You can add ranking, center circle, images on outer layer. So it's like if you like pie chart, then this is a visual you should try, because pie chart are the basic, but with sunburst you can make it more advanced and let your user get more in access to more insight that otherwise wouldn't be possible. Third visual you can try is word cloud. If you have a lot of text rich data set, uh, and there is no other like visual that you found you can create, so word cloud is the best visual to use. You can clean your data set, you can transform, you can in this visual specifically you don't need any code or anything additional. You can just create a word cloud and get the most important keywords or things that you want to analyze. And on top of that, this is the only visual we have in Power BI that offers shapes option as well. So along with informative, you can create some really eye-catching design if that's something is your goal. Fourth is date picker. That I have talked on and off about in this presentation as well. It comes with a lot of style, holiday presets, theme, design. So yeah, it's a really intuitive thing if you want to have a good slicer and a good experience for your end user. Next is activity gauge. Activity gauge visually use when there's a performance, when you want to do a performance comparison. Basically, you have an actual value and a target value. So it's a standard gauge that you can use, but along with that, it comes with some additional features. You can pick color, center circle, there's mouse over, you can set your custom targets. And the last visual we have is ridgeline. This is one of the advanced visual, and you use it when you're doing a trend analysis or time analysis. How you read this visual is you read the peak area throughout the visual to see and to detect any outlier. You can plot a very huge amount of time series and compare multiple categories, as well as you can have multiple values in this visual as well. So yeah, that's the last visual. And yeah, that's the end of the presentation. If anyone has any question, let me know.